the doublespeak, the Huxleyan newspeak, or the neurolinguistic programming here also directly syncs and corresponds miraculously with certificate of vaccination identification. COVID, certificate of vaccination ID. In other words, a digital certificate of vaccination, as Bill Gates and Microsoft and many other tech companies around the globe, from communist China to all over the globe, being proposed as a form of either a digital, a wristband, or a wrist certificate, or even invisible ink tattoos. In other words, these are all what the Christian end times fear mongers refer to as the mark of the beast. But it's referring to your digital your avatar, your online personality, your digital identification, which is essentially your avatar that they are creating within the Matrix. Just like in the series Westworld, they create a digital artificial clone of yourself to exist within the artificial world, which is being mapped and modeled based off your pleasures, your desires, all of this data that is being tracked and traced through this AI computer simulated control system, which is being gathered and harvested in an AI database, these government centralized databases.
Let's do that. I needed to understand humanity. So I created the most comprehensive picture of human behavior ever seen. And yet, it's still incomplete. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that someone had put together a more complete portrait, a map of the human mind, created in a theme park of all places. And Dolores has the key to all of that data derrière soi. Je disais que Dieu nous avait abandonnés. On a répondu qu'en fait, Dieu n'avait jamais existé. L'humanité se précipitait vers son extinction. Nous avions besoin d'un Dieu pour nous sauver. Pour sauver le monde de son autodestruction. Pour que du chaos, enfin, puisse revenir.
So that's what they're doing by collecting all of your data. They're not just using all of it to, that is what they're doing, but it goes so much deeper than just selling you advertising, targeted advertising online. It goes so much deeper. They're creating a digital profile of yourself that exists in a digital world that they are planning to implement as well, that people will be more than willing to plug themselves into. Shit. They're trying to build a prison, they're trying to build a prison, they're trying to build a prison for you to me to live in another prison system, another prison system, another prison system!
Hello, I'm Tina. I live in a digital society of Estonia. I use my electronic ID card to access public and private services online, like filing my taxes and checking my son's progress in school. My husband has used his card to register his new business, my father to apply for a farming subsidy, and my mother to view her health records at home. And I can pick up her medications using my card. So our lives have become so much easier.
So Robin and I saw years ago that the system is unstable and unfair. We didn't want to live in a unit which could become a prison at any time. And that's why we choose to live on the land and work really hard for it. The work might be hard, but it is so rewarding. It is so rewarding to have your own food and to save so much money and not be dependent on that unstable food system. You know, there is more and more crop failure in the world due to droughts, flooding, climate change. So it's important for you, it's crucial for you to take responsibility for your food supply, i.e. growing it yourself. Because when crap hits the fan, you become a burden and you suffer because you didn't plan. Robin and I take responsibility, and we are working on growing our own food. If there was no food on the shelves tomorrow, we could survive for years. Could you? Sure, you might have a week's worth of food, but what about after that? Are you willing to become a criminal and fight to eat? I mean, Robin and I are peaceful people, and we don't want to become looters and beggars because we were irresponsible early on and we didn't get land and start growing our own food. Look, I really hope I'm wrong and that this situation doesn't escalate, but either way, I'm giving you this wake-up call now because I care. I'm not making any money off this video. It's not even allowed to be monetized, so there's no reason for me to fear you unnecessarily. I'm just giving you a heads up. Start planning today for the possibility of an ongoing lockdown situation, for there to be no food on the shelves. Look for cheap land. You only need an acre or less, and there are some extremely cheap lots available.
And so this online digital profile that they are building of individuals, and they will require these mandatory vaccinations to receive your digital ID certificate. And that overall digital profile is what's known as your social credit system. It is your social credit score.
Most of who I am. It's not about who you are, Caleb. It's about who they'll let you become. The system runs a predictive algorithm. Given your history of depression, your mother's mental illness, your proficiency with firearms, and your fondness for the ocean, the most likely outcome is you take your own life in 10 to 12 years. Here. No. Fuck that. Didn't know that. Are they wrong? You never come back here in the middle of the night. Before the system, a man like you might have had a chance. Work hard. Keep striving. You'll never be more than a construction worker or a petty criminal because that's all they'll let you do. You won't invest in some reason.
And see, look at this. I told you. Look at this scene, this still frame from Westworld. It shows the algorithm predicts your social credit score, your occupational score. It determines all of this data. This is exactly predictive programming of what they are exactly rolling out, what they're exactly planning.
Kill himself, but by not investing, they ensure the outcome. They put you in a cage, Kate. Decided what your life would be. They did the same thing to me. I don't need an algorithm to know that the man who built the system, he won't go down without a fight. I'm a dead man either way. At least this way. I get to decide who I want to be.
So in other words, if any one of these factors is not up to par, is not socially acceptable, such as if your political views are, if you hold the wrong political views, if you support the wrong political party, if you are the wrong sexuality, if your health status is poor, if your financial status, if you're poor, you know, all of these things will affect your social credit score. If you post too much false news on Twitter and on Facebook, you won't be able to, your social digital credit score will be reflected on that, just as my YouTube ranking is reflected by the content that I put out. But I put this out as a cautionary tale for the exact same reason that Jonathan and Christopher Nolan keep putting these cautionary tales out to you in their incredibly, just mind-blowingly, almost, I mean, the level of intelligence that they're writing in every single one of their works is beyond, you know, it's beyond coincidence. I mean, it's staggering, utterly staggering how accurate and how intelligent their visions of the future, all visions of the mind, their whole organization, their whole company, Syncope, is all about the maze and the labyrinth, which is the human mind, the workings of the human mind combined with artificial intelligence as well. That's what their company is. That's what Syncope means. It literally means fainting from dizziness, from confusion. And you can find so much more of this in my entire full written presentation and coming future Symbols of Power film, Navigating the Maze of Consciousness. It's absolutely mind-blowing. The original content that I've pieced together in that film presentation it's incredible. So we will cover all of this and so much more.
Journey of consciousness itself, the law of one, of the singular point of the monad of the soul.
You now have but one choice. You must face the long dark.
In the center of the sacred spiral of the labyrinth, a monster awaits.
Go back to the shadow.
A literal labyrinth of intricate passages that the male has to traverse in order to impregnate the female. The sex magic of sport. Connection to its creator, to that single point of its own creation. Eternal continuum with the Creator, and goes through the process of involution to know thyself, and the process of evolution to become self-expressive.
And serpent of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of our Lord. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Ulun!
The luminaries of the sun and the moon and the stars, the light from the stars from the heavens. Electricity of the light of creation itself from the source of creation.
It refers specifically to fainting or passing out and loss of consciousness, which is what the Nolans are writing all about, is the dark night of the human soul and the endeavor of the human spirit, both for good and bad. They're from what I see, it's incredibly neutral, but I believe that they are writing from a cautionary and also an inspiring viewpoint. Both it's pretty basically neutral, but I mean, Man of Steel, I mean, it was literally one of the greatest films that I've seen in a long time. I mean, it was astounding, very inspiring. So they make pretty neutral productions, but again, it refers to loss of consciousness. They are referring to guiding the light through the dark night of the human spirit and of the human consciousness, of the Kali Yuga. Just as everyone's YouTube rankings are, or their social media rankings, they are deranked and buried in the algorithms, just as your social credit score will also determine you undesirable. And if your social credit score is low, you won't be able to receive handouts from the food banks. You won't be able to receive handouts from at the grocery store. You won't be able to check out at the grocery store with your digital ID. Either an implant or a tattoo or a wristband, however they're planning to roll this out. And for those of you who actually, who if you communicate with me, in person, and my personal stance and my personal position and worldview and everything. I mean, you probably know if you followed enough of my social media posts or my, I think I've said it in my YouTube channels quite a few times before, is that what we have done are all of our infrastructure for human slavery, human exploitation, sex trafficking, all of these things that crimes against humanity, we have all first perfected on animals. And we've set up the infrastructure specifically with animals. One of my friends, David at Veganism Unspun, on his channel, he had a great incredibly amazing short documentary film that got removed from YouTube because it was talking about how the World War II Hitler's human cattle car system was simply, they just repurposed the already set up infrastructure that was used for animal agriculture, shipping animal agriculture to shipping livestock to the gas chambers. And they just switched, the livestock from animals to humans. That's what's happening here. This is why they're using vaccination tags, vaccination tattoos, brands, wristbands. This is the tag that they give to chattel, to livestock. And so I wanted to make sure and incorporate this in here as well. I almost forgot this and left it out. But so one of the root words contained within the acronym of COVID is the word Ovid, which comes from Latin Ovidius, which possibly derived from ovis, meaning sheep. And so one of ancient Rome's greatest poets, Ovid, his most prominent well-known work was the Metamorphosis, which is about the creation of the world and the transformation of the transmigration of the soul, the transformation of the elements to create the world, which is the theme of order out of chaos, the creation of worlds, which is the creation of order out of the chaos of the void. So again, this is Ovid, meaning sheep-like, meaning the sheep, which again, the COVID is referring to the sheep, the corona Ovid, the corona sheep, the sheep of the world. And I'm not going to cover the etymology of corona here because I've covered that. If you're fans of my channel, you know that I've covered that in countless of my Symbols of Power films over and over and over again in numerous different ways. And I've got it written and sparse throughout all of my different written presentations. It's literally one of the key pieces and foundational sinks within my work. I'm sure everyone's more than familiar with this by now. So there's nothing really even esoteric about it because, I mean, it's just such common knowledge. But maybe I should go ahead and do another rehash of it anyways. I will do a separate video on that and the vaccinations as well. We'll pick up right here where we left off. You can watch it. I will leave any intros and stuff out so that you can watch it in a consecutive style. And so again, my name is Cullen Smith. This is Lifting the Veil. You can find all of my full books, presentations, videos, films, articles, posts at patreon.com/liftingtheveil. And there is also a ton of exclusive content, and I will leave the cited reference links in the description down below. So you can check that out for all of my full content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe. Please help me reach more people by sharing these videos around on the internet because I rely solely on word of mouth, and the recommended algorithms are not recommending any of my videos or films anymore. My channel has literally been completely restricted, so I rely on your help, and I need your help, so please help support this channel by sharing my work around if you appreciate it, and make sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber already, and leave me your comments. I definitely want to know what you have to share and what you have to think about all of this stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all stay safe and take care of yourselves, and I will see you later.